Hey guys, so I got drug into the Grant County courts today. If you want to put a little pressure on, the number for the courthouse is 509-754-2011. You can call the prosecutor's office, you can call the judge, because what you're about to hear is the complete sham of due process that was begun today. And I'm going to give you a recap, not only to let you guys know what happened in my case today, but kind of to share some thoughts about what you might deal with when you're in court. So I see you guys in here live. If you're watching this live, I see your comments in there. So good to see you guys. Thank you all. I want to jump right to it here. First thing I want to do, I want to show you, as I was leaving the court, let me show you, as we're walking out of the courtroom, the prosecutor, the fake lawyer, could not get out of there fast enough. And when the judge left the room, after all this happened, the judge left the room and he, hey guys, hey Vincent, Chris, all you guys. When the judge left the room, the lawyer's packing up, right? And he's all smug, and he's got his lady assistant lawyer that's also a deputy prosecutor. And I turned to him, and he was mad. And I turned to him, and I said, "It must be nice to have the judge working for you." And he turns back to me, and he's like, "You should learn how to behave in a courtroom." And I said, "No, you should learn how to behave in a courtroom." And then we're walking out, and so as we're walking out, then I got a clip of him. And let me show you guys this clip. And I'm asking him, he's running away, just our family. Whole courtroom dedicated to me and my family so they could make sure nobody else, they don't want people to see other people standing up. So they actually set this up so we had this exclusive little private courtroom with the prosecutors. Turn this around. All right, so we're just out of the courtroom, and they're trying to flee the scene of the crime. The prosecutors, Garth Dano's prosecutors, wasn't actually elected prosecutor to Garth Dano. He just ignores the crimes happening in his community. This is his deputy. So let me play this. I'll turn the volume up here. Just a short clip.
Did they teach the Constitution in law school? That's an honest question.
They do. There's a whole course.
Then how come you don't know it? And how come you don't defend it?
Well aware of the Constitution.
Prosecutor, they still a man, that's why.
God will judge between you and me, sir.
Okay, so that's us. That's my family and I. Always great coming out to support. Walking out of the courtroom, and this prosecutor, as he's fleeing, this parasite who makes a living abusing people. All right. And yes, I mean, go to the sheriff's page, the sheriff who refuses to uphold the Constitution, who refuses to deal with these officers kidnapping and extorting and robbing people. So let's rewind a little, give you a quick recap. We walk into the courtroom, and the clerks are addressing me by my first name. It's pretty much just my family in there. I think a reporter might have walked in for a minute. They're all scanning us down with some private security company outside, as if we're like trying to sneak snuff in, right? They're trying to make it all official. So I'm going in. Here's a copy of the ticket. Now, I was arrested by Officer Patrick Kennedy, who's the local town extortioner bully, and I called him that, and I filmed him, and he got mad about me filming him and about him being exposed. And so he said, "I'm arresting you for harassment," right? And impeding an officer. Now, impeding an officer is a general charge they throw at everyone, guys. If you're an activist, you're probably going to get charged at some point with impeding an officer. Harassment is a more serious matter, and it is completely erroneous in this case. Harassment by the statute, which I have right here, definitions of harassment, it's RCW 9A.46.020. Harassment requires that you threaten someone with like bodily harm, right? It's very clear. So there's literally no proof of harassment, right? The obstruction charge is a vague, super vague charge that they can throw at anybody, and there's still no probable cause. So we get in there. It took $2,000 to get me out of jail, and I hadn't even been given a citation, right? Here's the fake warrant that my phone was taken with, all right? Here's the fake warrant, not even a real warrant. So he takes my phone. It's now taken for evidence, right? While I was interacting with him, he was mad at me. He points his finger at me and he says, I'm taking your phone for evidence. He was simply wanting to get even because I had done a video with him a few weeks before. Go look up Officer Kennedy on my channel. Patrick Kennedy. He's out there. So now I want to be clear. I go into the courtroom. The judge comes in. They're doing their thing. And the judge is like, okay, well, let's go to the arraignment. Now, the arraignment is where they like affirm your charges and get you to say, you know, you're pleading guilty, you're not guilty. And I said, whoa, hold on, we need to have a probable cause hearing. The way the courts are supposed to work, right? First of all, the officer's not supposed to arrest you on a fake charge. Second of all, if he does, the prosecutor, who's not actually supposed to be a prosecutor, he's supposed to be the state's attorney. The prosecutor is supposed to look at the charge and see if it's valid and dismiss it if it's not, or fail to, or not, refuse to bring it to prosecution, right? Next, the judge is supposed to be that third line of defense. The judge is supposed to throw it out if there's no probable cause. So read your Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, okay? So I get into the courtroom and the judge is like, I just want to make sure you understand your constitutional rights. And I'm almost laughing because this judge is up there talking about constitutional rights, which we don't have. You don't have constitutional rights. You have human rights that are confirmed and affirmed in the Constitution, right? So I'm going around and I stand up and I'm speaking and I'm not bowing my head in shame. I'm standing up right next to this lawyer and the lawyer's like sitting there, the prosecutor and his buddy. And there's none of these magic word things that people tell you work in the courtrooms, okay? You're there at the point of a gun. I was dragged into court because if I wasn't, I would be arrested, and if I resisted, I would be murdered by the same police that arrested me, all right? I say to the judge, we need to establish probable cause. There's no probable cause, and I first want to address that, and so the judge turns to the prosecutor, and the prosecutor starts reading from this police report that I hadn't even seen. Because remember, they arrest you and then they make stuff up to try and validate the fact they arrested you. Kennedy, I don't even think he knew the charges he was arresting me. So the prosecutor starts reading these things. And basically the police report, which I don't have a copy of yet, the police report is, Gavin came up and Gavin was bugging me at the stop and Gavin's done gun activism before, and when Gavin got close to my car, I felt threatened, and I felt for my safety, so to keep everything safe, I mean, it's like absolute absurdity. This police report is simply a fabricated story. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like looking back at people in the courtroom, I'm looking over at this guy, and I'm listening to this fiction novel that was written by Patrick Kennedy of the Afraid of Police Department. And finally, I objected. I said, I object to this, all right? The judge ignores my objection and lets the prosecution continue. The prosecution finishes his narrative of why there's probable cause, and she says, okay, you objected. I said, yeah, I object. I looked at the prosecutor, I said, this is a fabricated narrative. This guy's got his little fiction story over here he's written, and I want to address the facts because there is no probable cause, there's no evidence, and the judge is like, well, I need to stop you. You shouldn't be talking because it might incriminate you, right? The prosecutor's getting mad. Now, bear in mind, he can say whatever lies he wants about me, but if I say, this guy's lying, he's full of it, this is fabricated, the prosecutor starts flipping out because they are allowed to say whatever they want. You're the one that's supposed to demurely sit and obey and say, yes, ma'am. And I didn't do that today. I didn't specifically pick a fight, but I went in there as if I was representing someone. And I stood next to the attorney as my equal. An attorney cannot stand it, particularly these prosecuting attorneys. Always remember to hold your head high when you stand up for what's right. They cannot tolerate it if you place themselves as an equal because they look at themselves and their blue line cronies as the peerage. When you look over to them and you say, this man's lying, this is a false report and I want to address that, the judge completely ignored it. I said, the warrant was false for my phone. The judge completely ignored that. I said, I was charged $2,000 bail to get out of jail, and a citation wasn't even given. The judge ignored that. I said, let's talk about this harassment charge. This is a completely erroneous charge. It's not in character with me, and I would show you the evidence, except I can't because Patrick Kennedy stole my phone with this illegal warrant, and I can't show the evidence because he has it all. And the judge says, this is an arraignment. I'm here to find probable cause. Wait, what? The judge said the judge is supposed to determine if there is probable cause. None of that happened with Judge Janice Whitner Moberg here in Grant County, right? This is an elected judge. She says, I'm here to find probable cause. That means she's there to back up what the fake police, fake law enforcement, and fake lawyers are saying, what the fake reports. That is what she's there for, okay? So we talk and we dialogue, and I say, this should be dismissed. And she's like, well, I'm not going to dismiss it. You'll have the opportunity to argue that at your trial. And I'm like, I don't want to go to a trial. These are fake charges. I don't need the burden. She said, you have constitutional rights. And I'm like, no, I have God-given rights. And you are treating me as if I am guilty already. And she's like, no, we're not doing that. And I said, yes, I'm already guilty. There's no probable cause here. I am already guilty, and I have no rights in this courtroom. And she's going around, right? And she didn't threaten to arrest me or anything like that. I didn't push it to that extent. We just had a bit of verbal discussion like a lawyer would do, right? And of course, that's making the lawyer, the bogus Weasley lawyer over here that persecutes and abuses and hurts people for a living under the watchful eye of Prosecutor Garth Dano in this county. He's the one that brings these fake charges, right? And he's fuming over here because I'm discussing this. And the judge starts wanting to get out of there, right? So I said, let's just go straight to trial. Set the trial date. And she's like, oh, okay, I can do that. Then the prosecutor's trying to push for these other dates. And so she sets the dates, right? She sets the dates for a pretrial and going straight to trial. Because I don't want to waste a year on this foolishness. I don't want to deal. These are fake, bogus charges, and chances are I will get convicted because there is absolutely zero due process, and there's no way I can get due process, especially in this county that is mostly government employees, and where I am known and constantly besmirched by the media and those public employees, right? So she sets the date, and then the prosecutor's getting all shifty, so she backtracks, and she's like, well, no, I'm going to cancel those dates, and we'll let you know in the mail. So I don't even know when my next court date is, once again, right? They get to do whatever they want on their schedule, and I'm supposed to plan my whole life around their schedule. I said, well, can I at least get my phone? We can't even proceed without evidence. Can you at least order them to give me my phone back so I have my evidence? And she said, well, you can motion for that. I said, I am motioning for that. And she's like, well, no, we can't do that here. This is an arraignment. It never became an arraignment. They never even actually had me enter a plea. It actually just became a probable cause hearing, which they were trying to skip, and I pressed them into making an actual probable cause hearing so that they're on the record denying my probable cause. There was zero probable cause. All there was a fabricated police report, no evidence whatsoever. The prosecutor, the judge, they take whatever lie the police says. It's assumed accurate, and most people don't have a video or anything, and they're going straight through the trial and straight through to the prison pipeline for profit. Straight through without ever even having real evidence. All they have is the police report. And so all our politicians, from the president to the local peon, supports the treason. They're all engaged in this tyranny every time. Every courthouse, every judge, every police officer. That's their job. They are prostitutes who do this for a living. All right? Abusing people is what they do. And so here I am having to continue to be drugged into this court or threatened with violence over these completely fabricated charges. Why? Because I filmed a police officer and I questioned him and I called him out on his action. And he sat there and debated with me and tried to justify himself. It wasn't like he was trying to go about his very important stop and I was impeding him in any way. He sat there and debated with me and pointed fingers at me and said, I'm going to take your camera, because he's a thug and he thinks he can do whatever he wants. And guess what? For the most part, your police can, because until we stand up, until we refuse to comply, until more people do this, we will not have justice. There is no due process in our courtrooms. There's no law in our courtrooms. You do not have redress. You are assumed guilty. And so have I seen judges behave much worse than this judge in terms of decorum and politeness? Sure. I mean, at least I was allowed to talk. Some people aren't even allowed that, right? In Jeff Winehouse's trial, where they tried to murder him and then charged him with attempted murder and gave him 30 years, he wasn't even allowed to speak on his behalf. They put a shock collar on him so that he wouldn't speak out during his jury trial when they were railroading him. Schaefer Cox, railroaded. People from Oregon Jason Patrick, the Bundys railroaded, many of them still sitting in jail. All right? And here's the thing. There's no evidence except on my camera. Because the Ephrata Police Department doesn't want accountability. They have no body cameras. They have no dash cameras, at least so they claim, and I've never been able to get any. They have no evidence. The evidence is on my password-protected phone, and they are suppressing that evidence so they can make a false police report. Patrick Kennedy will not be held accountable for his perjury. The judge 100% backs it up, regardless of whether there's any evidence for it whatsoever. The prosecutor brings the charges. The judge is trying to get out of the courtroom because I keep asking questions and trying to address my actual rights on the law and get them to follow the law. And the prosecutor's like, oh, can we talk about restrictions on Gavin for release restrictions? And the judge is like wanting to leave. And she's like, I don't think we need to do that. And she leaves. Then the prosecutor's packing up and running out. And that's where you see this video that I just showed you. Let me show you again. As we're walking out, the prosecutor, this little thug that abuses people for a living, we're having a brief conversation after he tells me I need to learn how to behave in the courtroom, because what it amounted to is I didn't lick his boots. I didn't pretend he was better, because he's not better. He's a criminal. That's what he is. Him and his lady there in her fancy suit, these are thugs that commit felonies for a living and lock people away in prison with no due process, no evidence, and no victim.
Did they teach the Constitution in law school?
Did they teach it?
Question.
Did they teach you the Constitution?
There's a whole course.
Then how come you don't?
There's a course.
And how come you don't defend it?
Well aware of that. The Constitution.
Prosecutor is filling in, that's why.
That's Garth Dano's deputy prosecutor. That's a thug. That's a thug. That's a parasite. The prosecuting attorney is what a prostitute looks like in America today. Our judicial system, our police officers, they sell themselves cheap for a little paycheck and a little pension. They actually do okay at it, though. They make more than most street prostitutes, and that's the way it works. That's the way justice works in America. That's what happened just today in the first aspect of my case. A complete sham, denied evidence, denied due process, denied probable cause, denied the evidence, denied justice. That's what's happening all over America. That's what's happening if you get arrested and go to court. Regardless of whether you actually did something wrong or did something good, you get abused by the system. That's America, because there is no liberty anymore, because people failed to stand up. I know we went long today, guys. I just wanted to give you the recap about how it works. This is the norm. And I'm blessed that I'm not locked in a cell right now, right? But that's not victory. Victory is justice. And revolution won't fix it, because the people's hearts aren't there, right? If people wake up, you don't have to have bloody revolution most of the time. And if they don't wake up, bloody revolution becomes French Revolution. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at. That's justice in America. I represented real law in there today. The judge, the prosecutor, the police, and all her cronies represented cronyism, corruption, extortion, kidnapping, and theft. That's what our courts are all about. Know it, spread it, share it. All right? The phone number for the prosecutor's office, the whole courthouse, the district court, Janice Whitner Moberg, as well as the prosecutor's office, 509-754-2011. The Ephrata Police Department, Ephrata Washington Police Department, I don't know the phone number offhand, but it's in some of the other videos, and if you Google it, you'll find it. You're welcome to call them. Also, the Grant County Sheriff, and you can go find their Facebook page. They do have a Facebook page, and the sheriff did nothing to protect my rights. The sheriff defends terrorists, because that's what they're part of. That's their job, is to abuse, rob, kill, steal, destroy, lie, make fake reports, and exercise fake justice. So guys, like, share, subscribe. Here's what's happening. That's what's happening in courtrooms across America every single day, and far, far worse. If you've been in a court, you know it. Not one of our courts is lawful. Not one of them defends due process, and none of the officers will step up. So we have to start stepping up, whether it's in St. Louis or in Oregon or in Washington or in Texas. People got to start stepping up. We got to stop worshiping our enforcers or pretending these people have anything to do with law. They are terrorists. Be of peace, right? It's like I told that judge today. I said, I'm a peaceful person. I stand up with peace. You guys, you have the guns. You're using the force. And that's the only reason we're there, is because they hold us at the point of a gun. And if you don't show up for fake court, they will murder you. That's the way it works. Guys, be well. If you want to support, if you want to pitch in, sometimes people ask if they want to pitch in with legal expenses and stuff. callmegav.com/donate, and we'll, we're doing okay. But if you want to help out, I certainly appreciate it. But I'm not gonna fret about that either. God will take care of us, and love your neighbor. Speak out. Love your neighbor. Be the peacemakers that your police refuse to be. Thanks for your support, guys. Keep you posted. Peace out.